The countdown begins to the FIFA Women's World Cup as the Filipinas gear up for their debut in the biggest stage for football. Our national women's football team kicks off their campaign in Group A tomorrow with a clash against Switzerland. Let's talk to football analyst Matt Nieras, who joins us tonight. Matt, welcome to the game. Thank you for joining us. And of course, it's the debut of the Filipinas tomorrow in the FIFA Women's World Cup. We don't want to put pressure on them. Of course, it's their first appearance and they've been working hard for 18 months now. What are you most excited about, Matt, na makita from the Filipinas?
Personally, just that they're there. I mean, and if you told anyone that the Philippines would be at a World Cup, specifically the Women's World Cup, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, everyone would kind of just be like, no way.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're there is just amazing.
Obviously, we've seen them all up. I know you've seen them all up close. I've seen them all up close. You take a look at the evolution that they've had. A lot of credit has been given to Coach Alan Stejcic in the way that he's transformed this team. How would you describe that type of transformation that we've seen in the last 18 months?
Crazy that such a transformation can happen in 18 months, given this was also during the pandemic, so for a year and a half maybe they weren't playing. They just had those qualifiers in the end of 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And then 2022, they qualified for the World Cup, so then suddenly all that preparation. I mean, you had to bring in, I think it was right, you had to bring in a foreign coach, specifically someone with his experience. And then for him to be able to take the team from where they were about 2 years ago to where they are now is very, very impressive. I think we have to applaud the work him and his team and the management have done.
And now, less than 24 hours away from their first ever FIFA Women's World Cup match against Switzerland in particular.
Right, and he said that it wasn't easy, coming up with a final lineup to bring into the World Cup. But again, 1 p.m. tomorrow, they will play Switzerland here in Manila time. What can we expect from that matchup? What do the Filipinas need to do to be able to come up with that win or at least a draw against Switzerland?
That's tough because to play on basically the biggest stage of football is, I mean, no one really has that experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on a personal note, like how you would take every game, you just give it your all. I mean, trying to play a game like if it's a final each and every time, you just give your all. Hopefully, everyone knows their job.
Yeah, their role.
Their team does what they need to do, and at minimum, they get a draw. Keeps that hope alive of progressing through the tournament. But a win would be amazing, obviously.
A lot of people are going to look at the world rankings and say, oh, the Filipinas are ranked 46 in the world, Switzerland are ranked number 20, therefore it's going to be a wash. But we saw a few hours ago or a few minutes ago, New Zealand defeating Norway 1-0, their group mates, by the way, in what is a monumental upset, at least in the Women's World Cup stage. I know that we're always going to be underdogs because of the rankings, but does that give hope for Filipino fans, knowing that, the rankings don't necessarily indicate how games will go?
Yeah, that's definitely something that is a thing in football or in sports in general. Everyone loves the underdog Cinderella story. And that's basically what happened in the qualifiers leading up to the team making it to the World Cup. So in that sense, I want to say I want to be realistic, but you also want to hope. Right? So you prepare for the worst, hope for the best kind of scenario.
Well, let's talk about the external factors that they have to deal with. Playing in New Zealand, the temperature drops up to -7.
It's winter there.
Right, -7 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure if you've played in similar situations before, but if you're the Filipinas right now, how do you deal with this type of environment?
I want to say they're somewhat adjusted. They have been playing in Australia. They did their camp basically the last year in Australia. A lot of the players are playing in Australia or in Europe. But obviously that kind of temperature is very cold. Nothing I personally have experienced. Maybe once a long time ago, but recently obviously not. I want to say that preparation they've had in Australia made it easier for them, so they're not suddenly like shocked by the temperatures or the situation they're in.
So, we're very tropical people. Lahat tayo nalalamigan when we talk about winters in other countries. So, a lot of people would remember if you take a look at the research on the recent form of the Filipinas, they lost 5-1 against Sweden in their most recent friendly. Coach Alan Stejcic this morning said that there was another friendly with a high-profile team that they will not reveal that was also good for the team in terms of their preparation. But apart from that, we went from a team that played only 2 games a year as an international team to now play literally almost 60 or 70 international games in the past 2 years. How much of a factor is that type of preparation going into this World Cup, especially against nations who are ranked way above us?
Huge, because like you just said, sometimes they play 2, maybe single-digit games the whole year. So then you have those players together only for a few games. And then, if I'm not mistaken, they played 29 in all of 2022, which is more than how many years combined. Especially when he had to bring in new players, see if they're going to fit his system. He's trying to see if the old ones can still keep up. And it's a lot of factors, especially like you guys mentioned earlier, how having to come up with that lineup. And like you're trying to respect the players that, you know, brought the team there.
Right.
But you also have to be like, is this the best lineup I can come up with now in this moment? Who's available? Like, I'm sure there are so many other players they wanted to get, but maybe they couldn't get their passports in time, all that other stuff. So
yeah, so a lot of factors involved there. So here's a little fun fact about the team. Dip, how old are you if you're willing to reveal your age?
26.
You're 26. Matt, how old are you?
30.
You're 30, right? I'm above 30. I'm not going to mention a number. Our average age here is more than our national team, which is at 24.6. We're a very young group.
team.
You take and we have one player who's around 35 who brought that up. You take a look at that average age. Is that a cause for concern or excitement, considering the enormity of the event happening?
a little bit of both. I mean, you don't want your younger players to be overwhelmed by the moment. That's why you obviously need those senior players, the experienced players. But also, if you have these young players now and at this age they have World Cup experience, and they've made it to the World Cup now, so the expectation is they're going to make it to the next one. Mm-hmm. And assuming the core of this team or most of this team stays together, you hope that as the years go by, they progress as well.
Right. Let's dig deeper into the lineup. We mentioned that, again, the final lineup wasn't easy to be made up for this World Cup. But let's go specific this time. I'm sure everyone has to play well to get a shot up there. But who do you think are the X factors who should step up and lead the team, especially in the match tomorrow?
That's a tough one. Usually, by default, you're always going to look at the spine. So your keeper, your center backs, your center mids, and your strikers. So you've had Olivia McDaniel there in the back, huge penalty save.
Right.
That got them to qualify. Defenders have been rotating a bit, some injuries, available.
One player hasn't rotated, and that's Hayley Long.
Hayley Long, she's been that rock at the back for the Philippines, and then so her obviously you don't expect much because she's always there. And then I think Angela Beard is going to be a player that everyone's going to have high expectations of. You know, former Australian national team player, recently switched over. I want to say we're lucky that she was still allowed to switch over. She played just 3 games for Australia, which is the limit.
Maximum.
And most recently, I think her last call was 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So for her, in that sense, where she's still able to play in the World Cup, although not with the team she initially planned on.
I mean, there's just so much to think of, and right now we're just going to go through all the names, and everyone can really step up. But Matt, you take a look at what this could mean for the Philippines. Let's say we do draw. Let's say we do get a single point here, or maybe even 3 against Switzerland. Just what do you think that would mean for the local Filipino community getting a result against Switzerland?
Absolutely huge. I don't know how you would be able to really show your emotion aside from just screaming happiness. You know, I mean, there's no feeling like winning, even if it's just a simple, like 7-side open play game or like a serious final or obviously the World Cup. So, I mean, if they win, everyone going nuts, I think.
We're excited for that possibility. We're excited for that possibility. Matt, maraming salamat. Really appreciate you being here, and hopefully we have a lot more joyful things to talk about with regards to FIFA Women's World Cup and the Filipinas soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.